Why people betray you. Carl Jung's deepest insight into human nature. The betrayal you never saw coming. Have you ever trusted someone so deeply only to have them betray you when you least expected it? A close friend suddenly turns cold, a partner walks away without warning, or a colleague stabs you in the back. It's gut-wrenching, isn't it? And the worst part? You never saw it coming. But here's the shocking truth. What if I told you that the signs were always there, hidden in plain sight? The next time someone betrays you, you might just be able to spot it before it happens. Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant minds in psychology, believed that betrayal isn't a random act of cruelty. It follows a psychological pattern, a script written in the shadows of the human mind. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn might just change the way you see the people around you forever. 1. The psychology of betrayal. What Jung believed. Betrayal isn't just some random, inexplicable act of cruelty. It's a process, a psychological storm that brews beneath the surface long before it ever strikes. Carl Jung, one of the most influential minds in psychology, believed that betrayal stems from something deeper within the human psyche, something we often don't acknowledge, the shadow self. This isn't some abstract concept, but rather the collection of parts of ourselves that we suppress, the emotions, desires, and fears we refuse to confront. You see, betrayal isn't necessarily about you, it's about them. It's about their unresolved insecurities, their unacknowledged conflicts, and the parts of themselves that they hide away from the world. When someone betrays you, it's often because they're struggling with their own shadow self. They can't face their own flaws, so they project them onto you. And in doing so, they justify their actions, even if it means turning against the very person who trusted them. 2. The shadow self and resentment. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow self is one of the most powerful tools for understanding human behavior, especially when it comes to betrayal. But what does this shadow really mean? In essence, it's the part of us that we keep hidden. The emotions, desires, and weaknesses we choose to suppress because they don't fit the image we want to present to the world. These feelings don't just disappear, though. They fester, lurking beneath the surface, waiting for a moment to erupt. When someone betrays you, it's often a projection of their own suppressed emotions. Have you ever experienced a friend or colleague suddenly becoming hostile toward you, seemingly out of nowhere? Perhaps they start criticizing you for no clear reason, or they subtly undermine your achievements. This isn't random, it's their shadow self at work. Deep down, something within them feels triggered by your success or confidence. Maybe it's jealousy, maybe insecurity, or even feelings of inadequacy. But rather than confronting these feelings, they project them onto you. They begin to view you not as the person you once were, but as a threat to their own self-image. They may even convince themselves that they no longer like you because you've changed, or that you no longer deserve the success you've worked for. This is how resentment builds, and it's how betrayal begins long before any act of disloyalty takes place. The mind starts crafting a story, twisting reality to protect the ego, and suddenly you're no longer the friend they trusted. You're the person who represents everything they feel inadequate about. 3. Signs of betrayal. How to recognize it early. Betrayal rarely happens in an instant. It's not some sudden explosion that takes you by surprise. No, it's more like a slow shift, a gradual process that unfolds beneath the surface. The signs are subtle at first, small, seemingly insignificant changes in behavior that, if you're paying attention, reveal much more than you realize. When someone is about to betray you, it's often the little things that give them away. Have you ever noticed a shift in how someone treats you? Maybe a close friend starts distancing themselves, or a partner begins responding with indifference to your achievements. The compliments you once received now feel hollow, and the support you once took for granted starts to vanish. What's really happening here is that their shadow self is starting to project itself. If your success or happiness triggers something unresolved in them, whether it's envy, insecurity, or even anger, They won't confront those feelings. Instead, they'll project those emotions onto you. What once was a genuine bond begins to sour, and their betrayal manifests in subtle ways: criticism, distancing, or even passive-aggressive remarks. These behaviors are their mind's way of coping with their inner conflict. The key to recognizing betrayal is to trust your intuition. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore the subtle shifts in behavior, because they are often the earliest warning signs that someone close to you is about to betray your trust. Setting boundaries and creating emotional distance early on is your best defense. But remember, don't take it personally. This betrayal isn't really about you. It's about their inability to deal with their own emotional turmoil. 4. The mask of manipulation. Not all betrayals are born from inner conflict or unresolved emotions. Some are calculated, intentional, and cold-blooded. This is the betrayal that wears a mask, pretending to be loyal, supportive, and even protective, until the moment they no longer need you. It's a betrayal driven not by hidden resentment but by self-interest, and it's often the hardest to spot because it looks like trust at first. Think about those people who charm their way into your life. They seem to be your greatest ally, always there when you need them, always offering support and encouragement. But what happens when you can no longer serve their needs? What happens when you stop being useful to them? That's when the mask begins to slip. The key to understanding this kind of betrayal is recognizing that these people view relationships as transactions. They're not truly interested in you as a person. They only care about what you can do for them. When they no longer need your emotional support, financial help, or social connections, they turn on you. Perhaps they withdraw, become distant, or in some cases actively sabotage you when you least expect it. A manipulative person isn't interested in loyalty or friendship. They're interested in control. They'll play the role of a supportive friend until you no longer serve their purpose, at which point they'll discard you without hesitation. The betrayal, then, is not rooted in any personal conflict with you. It's simply a matter of convenience. They were never invested in the relationship. They were only playing a role to get what they needed. The best way to protect yourself from this kind of betrayal is to observe patterns, not just words. Actions speak louder than any comforting promises. Test their loyalty. See how they act when you stop giving them what they want. Real loyalty is proven through consistent actions, not temporary benefits. And if someone betrays you once, don't make excuses for them. A manipulator will continue to take advantage of your trust if you let them. 5. Jealousy and its role in betrayal. Jealousy is one of the most insidious forces behind betrayal. It doesn't always announce itself with loud outbursts or obvious signs. Instead, it sneaks in quietly, poisoning relationships from the inside out. Carl Jung believed that jealousy arises when someone sees in you what they feel they lack in themselves. It might be your success, your confidence, your intelligence, or even just your inner peace. When someone close to you feels inferior or insecure because of your growth, their jealousy begins to fester, slowly morphing into resentment and eventually betrayal. Have you ever experienced someone close to you suddenly starting to downplay your achievements? Perhaps they offer backhanded compliments like, "Wow, must be nice to have all the time to work out," or "You must have been lucky to get that promotion." On the surface, it seems like praise, but there's an underlying tone of resentment. The truth is, they can't genuinely celebrate your success because deep down they feel threatened by it. Your achievements remind them of what they feel they've missed or failed to attain. But the real danger comes when this jealousy grows unchecked. Instead of confronting their own insecurities, they begin to distance themselves from you. They stop celebrating your wins, and in some cases, they might even actively try to sabotage you. It's a slow, almost imperceptible shift, but once it happens, the damage is done. They might spread rumors about your success, undermine your work in front of others, or simply stop showing up for you when you need them the most. Recognizing jealousy before it becomes full-blown betrayal requires a sharp awareness of these subtle shifts in behavior. If someone who was once supportive suddenly starts acting cold or distant, it's worth examining why. Are they jealous of your success? Are they uncomfortable with the changes you're making in your life? If jealousy is at the root of their actions, you'll need to decide whether or not you can continue to trust them. The key to protecting yourself from jealousy-driven betrayal is to understand that it's not about you, it's about them. It's about their own self-perception and insecurities. Don't take it personally. Instead, recognize it for what it is, an emotional wound they're too afraid to confront. And once you see the signs, it's best to create distance. Surround yourself with people who genuinely celebrate your success, not those who feel threatened by it. 6. Power struggles. Control behind betrayal. Not all betrayals stem from jealousy or insecurity. Some are rooted in power, an unconscious desire for control. In every relationship, there are hidden dynamics of power, whether in friendships, romantic partnerships, or work environments. Some people feel threatened when they lose their grip on control, and rather than embracing growth or equality, they choose betrayal to regain their dominance. Carl Jung argued that some individuals operate in relationships with an inherent need to dominate. If they sense their position of control slipping away, they might betray you as a way to reassert themselves. Have you ever had a boss, friend, or even a partner who seemed incredibly supportive at first, but the moment you started asserting yourself, their attitude changed? Perhaps they became overly critical, micromanaged you, or started sabotaging your efforts. This power struggle is rooted in the fear of losing influence. For example, you might get promoted at work, or you may begin to excel in your career, but instead of celebrating your growth, a supervisor may try to undermine your achievements or take credit for your success. They feel threatened by your competence because, for them, power is equated with self-worth. The better you do, the more insecure they become about their own standing. In personal relationships, this dynamic can be just as destructive. A partner who once seemed genuinely supportive may grow distant or manipulative once they perceive you as becoming more independent. The moment you begin to make decisions for yourself, set boundaries, or gain confidence, they may start to pull away. At worst, they might manipulate you with guilt, anger, or passive-aggressive behavior, all designed to make you feel like you're in the wrong. This is the manipulation of power at its core. To protect yourself from power-based betrayal, you must recognize these control dynamics early on. Pay attention to whether the person supports you only when you are dependent on them. Notice if they get uncomfortable when you start asserting your independence. Stay firm in your decisions and don't let emotional manipulation make you second-guess yourself. The key is to surround yourself with people who genuinely support your growth. Those who see your success as a reflection of your abilities, not a threat to their power. 7. The shadow projection. Some betrayals aren't driven by jealousy or power struggles. They come from something even deeper, projection. Carl Jung's theory of the shadow self tells us that the parts of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge, the aspects of our personality that we repress or deny, often find an outlet through projection. This means that when someone betrays you, it may be because they're projecting their own flaws, insecurities, or guilt onto you. Have you ever been accused of something you didn't do, or been blamed for actions that don't align with who you are? Perhaps a friend who has a tendency to gossip starts accusing you of spreading rumors, or a partner who has been unfaithful accuses you of cheating. This is projection at work. Instead of confronting their own negative behaviors, they project them onto you, blaming you for the very things they are guilty of themselves. This kind of betrayal is insidious because it isn't always easy to spot. The person may genuinely believe their accusations are true, but what they're really doing is shifting the blame onto you to protect themselves from facing their own flaws. For example, a friend who is chronically dishonest might accuse you of lying, or someone who secretly envies you might turn the tables and accuse you of being jealous. This is how betrayal often manifests from unresolved personal conflict. The person betrays you because they can't face their own darkness, so they project it onto you instead. To protect yourself from projection-based betrayal, you must be vigilant. When someone starts accusing you of behaviors or attitudes that don't align with who you are, take a step back and ask yourself why. Are they projecting their own flaws onto you? Don't take these accusations personally. Instead, recognize them for what they are, a defense mechanism that protects them from their own self-awareness. Setting boundaries and distancing yourself from these individuals is crucial. You can't fix someone who refuses to face their own darkness, and you shouldn't bear the burden of their unacknowledged flaws. 8. Narcissistic betrayal. Not all betrayal comes from hidden insecurities or suppressed emotions. Some betrayals are calculated and cold, driven by pure self-interest. Narcissistic betrayal is a particular kind of disloyalty that stems from a person viewing relationships as nothing more than transactions. To a narcissist, you are not a true friend, partner, or ally. You are a resource, a tool to be used for their own benefit. At first, narcissistic individuals can be incredibly charming. They'll make you feel special, valued, and important. They shower you with attention, support, and admiration, creating an illusion of a deep, meaningful connection. But this is just the facade, a carefully crafted mask. Once they've gotten what they want from you, whether it's emotional support, financial assistance, or social validation, they disappear or turn against you without hesitation. Imagine a friend who only calls when they need something: money, advice, emotional support, but when you need them, they're nowhere to be found. Or a coworker who praises your ideas and acts like they have your back until a promotion is up for grabs, and then suddenly they steal your work, take credit for your achievements, and leave you in the dust. This is narcissistic betrayal at its most manipulative. The problem with narcissistic betrayal is that it makes you question your own worth. It can be painful not because of what they've done, but because of how little they value you. To them, loyalty doesn't matter. It's all about what they can gain from you. Once they've extracted everything they can, they have no further use for you, and they'll betray you without a second thought. To protect yourself from this kind of betrayal, you need to stop making excuses for them. Narcissistic individuals will often manipulate you into thinking that they care, but deep down, their actions reveal the truth. They are only interested in what you can provide. The best defense is to recognize the pattern and set firm boundaries. Don't allow them to continue using you for their own gain. If someone betrays you once for their own benefit, it's likely they'll do it again. Trust your instincts and walk away from toxic relationships that serve only their needs, not yours. 9. The Revelation of Betrayal. Betrayal is undeniably painful. It cuts deep, shaking your trust in others and leaving you questioning everything you thought you knew about the people around you. But here's a truth you might not have realized yet. Betrayal is not the end, it's a revelation. Every act of betrayal, no matter how devastating, exposes the true nature of the person who commits it. It's not a reflection of your weakness or failure, but of their character. The pain you feel is the result of seeing someone you trusted expose their darker side. But this revelation is not a punishment, it's a lesson. It's the universe showing you who really has your back, who is worthy of your loyalty, and who was only in it for their own benefit. The greatest tragedy isn't the betrayal itself, but how we sometimes fail to learn from it. Betrayal teaches us about trust, about boundaries, and about the importance of being discerning with who we allow into our inner circle. It's not about becoming bitter or jaded, it's about becoming wiser. Once you understand how betrayal works and how it reveals the truth about others, you will never be blindsided again. So, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you let betrayal embitter you and keep you stuck in hurt, or will you use it to grow stronger, wiser, and more discerning in your relationships? The people who truly value you, who appreciate your loyalty, will never betray you. And those who do, well, their betrayal is a mirror to their own character, not yours. Trust slowly, observe deeply, and don't be afraid to walk away from those who don't respect your loyalty. Because at the end of the day, the right people will never betray you, and the wrong ones will eventually reveal themselves. Betrayal hurts. It leaves scars, makes you question your ability to trust, and sometimes it feels like the world around you is a bit less certain. But remember, betrayal isn't the end. It's a revelation. It's a wake-up call, a lesson that teaches you the value of your trust and the importance of protecting your heart. If this video resonated with you, if you've ever felt the sting of betrayal and walked away wiser for it, don't keep that knowledge to yourself. Share it. There are people out there who need to hear this. They might be going through the same pain right now, questioning who they can trust. Share this video with them, like it, and leave a comment below to let us know how betrayal has shaped your perspective. Have you learned from it? How do you recognize the warning signs before it's too late? We'd love to hear your story. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Because the truth is, the more we learn about human behavior, the better we can protect ourselves and build relationships that truly support and uplift us. So don't forget to subscribe for more insights into the human psyche, and stay tuned, because together we can navigate the complexities of life and grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient every day.